You're a few months pregnant now, and you have to decide, how do I get this human out of me? How do I know that a vaginal birth is for me? Am I ready? In today's episode, we cover the mental, emotional, and medical aspects of giving birth vaginally.
Parenting. Let's talk about this.
Being a parent is about godliness.
I found so much of myself through parenting.
There is no formula of raising a child.
Hello, this is Pansy on the left.
I think having a good support structure makes it all worth it.
Dumela Africa Borwa, lebitso ke Karabo Motiri, here to bring you yet another episode of Ask a Parent, the show about all things parenting. In today's episode, we have our guest midwife, Sister Nontlantla, and our guest mommy, Obeti Chilwani. Welcome, ladies. Sister Nontlantla, how do I know as Karabo hore a vaginal birth is the right option for me as a mom? Like, I'm pregnant, how do I know?
Okay, so I'd say basically there's no knowing whether you will be able to do it or not until you are actually in labor, and we are doing it. But proper research is very vital beforehand. So you need to do your own research, ask your family members, ask your friends, ask whoever that you can find to have conversation with, in terms of the fears, in terms of, when you have a good midwife that gives antenatal classes as well. So do your research in terms of your healthcare provider as well, in terms of your doctor or your midwife that you will be using, to say how far do they let you go before they can decide on whatever that would be an intervention for you. So with that, we can say every woman can give birth naturally, but it also depends on the circumstances surrounding her and around her birth and labor, what's going on, for us to be able
But
to
at which point of a pregnancy can your gynecologist or your midwife say, you know what, it looks like you are good to go for a vaginal delivery?
There's examinations that are done. We normally start them around 36 weeks.
Okay.
Because 36 weeks is known as term. But I don't like the 36 weeks personally, because I feel a term baby is from 38 weeks.
Okay.
A lot of ladies that tend to give birth to a 36-weeker, that baby will still be your pregnant.
I think there's actually been a lot of arguments in terms of when if
it's a term baby. So 36 weeks is not necessarily term, because your baby will still have premature symptoms when they are born. So you want to have your baby around 38. 40 weeks is ideal. So we will do your vaginal examination, where we do what we call a Bishop score, where we check and assess your pelvis in terms of adequacy for the birth. And remember, with that, we also assess your baby as well. How big is your baby? How wide is your pelvis? Can you do it naturally? And then with that, we can give a go-ahead to say yes, we can do it.
So just in terms of, you spoke much about doing research, just knowing your options, right? So that's what I did personally, and I looked up the options and I saw which I can give birth at a maternity clinic and do it vaginally. And for me, there was a beautiful symbolism to giving birth vaginally, because I was obsessed with watching birthing videos. As soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like, oh, let me watch. And then some are like really gruesome, but I think it's just a beautiful process. And I was like, it's really painful, but I want to go through that. I feel like as a mom, as a woman, I needed to experience that excruciating pain to say, I can do anything in life. If I can tolerate the pain of giving birth vaginally without medical intervention, then I can do absolutely everything. So, mommy, when you chose to give birth naturally, so maybe you can share your experience with us in terms of which of your kids were birthed vaginally, and when you chose to give birth vaginally, what was the motivation for you?
My first two borns, I gave birth to them naturally. I never did research like you. I never read. I was in varsity, I was studying, so I didn't really look at other things. The time I could study, the other times I'm sleeping. So by the time I was giving birth, I was even studying for the exam. I gave birth the day I was writing.
Wow.
So it wasn't even a prepared thing.
Yeah.
And he came 2 weeks before, the expected due date. So it was really, Unexpected.
We're just not ready. Right?
That's why I was even studying for my exam, because I didn't expect it. But the hospital was fantastic. They taught me to bath the baby, to breastfeed. They taught me everything. So that really helped ease.
So with
that
your
process.
second child, did you feel like you had an option now to choose which I want to give birth vaginally, or was it just I'm a woman, I'm pregnant, and this is how it's done?
I had no painkillers in both processes, so I had already experienced the pain, the way it is. I wanted also just to.
Okay, so you also wanted to experience.
So
it
I
the
just
second
carried
time.
on with what I knew.
Yeah.
And the second baby was massive. He was 4.7. So that was really hard.
Yes.
But it was done.
And you did that with no medical intervention also?
I did it in hospital, but I didn't get any pain relief, anything. I just went through it. I was breathing slowly and aware of what's happening in me. And that's how I managed to cope without other medications or anything. You know.
So you said you just continued with what you knew. So was the second birth a choice for you? Because at the first one you were quite young and the only option you had was to give birth vaginally. But the second time, did you know you have an option to do a cesarean section?
I did know that.
Okay. And did you deliberately avoid that?
I didn't deliberately. I just said, let things be. And it was natural as it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of moms who come to you and kind of present themselves as per like the societal expectation that you're a woman and women are meant to give birth vaginally? Do you find that there's a lot of women who still don't know that they have other options outside of giving birth vaginally?
I think times have changed where everybody thinks this is the only route. There's ladies, as a midwife giving antenatal classes, I've got people that come to me and they're like, no, I'm not going to be doing this vaginally. I want a Caesar. And we stick to the Caesar process, but I do still take them through the natural process because you may be at home, like Manana is saying. You may be at home, you're going to labor, and just before you know it, your baby's born. As much as you wanted a C-section, it will happen. And you need to prepare for it as well. And a lot of times, like Manana was saying, when you're younger, you don't prepare for these things.
Yes.
But it also depends around the circumstances that you're having at the time. She was having exams and this and that. And this is where it goes without saying that natural birth is natural. You cannot move away from the fact that it's natural. It will happen. Whether a midwife is there, a doctor is there, or anybody.
The baby will come out.
So it's just that in circumstances where there's issues, that's where you want to now intervene and help the mom through the process. And the more supportive we are during the time of birth, then it helps the mom. Because giving birth is supposed to be a mom's achievement, not fear that how am I going to do this and all that. And with proper support, we get it right.
Yes. I think let's just pick it up from that. Just the circumstances that don't allow us as women to be able to give birth vaginally. What are those?
There's a lot. There's a lot. Before we started, Manana was telling me that her waist was small with her second baby and baby was massive. So those are some
4.7.
Yes, 4.7 kilo baby. Some doctors would go like, woo, now
You
definitely
cannot.
having a C-section
Yes.
because this baby will
Too
be stuck.
big.
So when we having a natural birth with a 4.7 kilo baby, you anticipate what we call shoulder dystocia, where the head may come out, but the shoulders may get stuck. So now in those instances, what do? The baby's face will start turning blue. So now we need to act as quick as possible to try and save the baby. Mom may endure a dislocated hip due to that, or where the pelvic bones actually there's the cartilage that's holding the bones together can actually come apart. So now with all those complications in hand, that's when you need to be vigilant as a midwife and also as a medical practitioner to say, what do I do should this happen? So I guess in your instance, you go like after you have that delivery, you're like, yay!
Everyone is just celebrating in the group like we delivered a 4.7 vaginally.
And by that time, mom is absolutely tired.
Yeah, exhausted. How long was it labor?
7 hours.
Really?
Yeah, I was in the labor ward for 7 hours.
But did you labor at home also?
No, I came in the afternoon around 1 p.m.
And how far
and
dilated were
I only gave
you?
birth tomorrow at 7 in
How
the
far
morning.
dilated were you when you got to the hospital?
I was 5 centimeters.
5 centimeters?
Yeah, so it was very slow because he was also very big. And he did have a complication. He got it dislocated. So he couldn't use his right arm for the first 6 months of his life.
No.
when she's talking about a dislocation of the shoulder, there's actually instances where we break the clavicle of the baby, which is this bone, to help so that we can now be able to maneuver those shoulders and we birth the baby. So it gets to be a very tricky situation when you have a big baby like that. But it's very doable.
No, like it's a lot though.
It's a lot. 3 midwives on me.
Just
one
on
was
standby.
squeezing, one was pushing, the other one was trying to pull the baby out.
That is a lot.
It gets to be a hectic process.
It was a hectic process.
And that is why as a midwife, you can never work solo. You need as much support as well from the other midwives so that you can be able to do this.
But I think the research again part is also important because you just think, Uguti, I'm doing a vaginal delivery, it's natural, nothing will go wrong. You know, it's nothing medical, it's just me doing it naturally. But there's just a lot that can happen in that moment because I think pregnancy is very unpredictable.
It is.
Kids are very unpredictable. They come here when they want to come here. Yes. You can make all the plans in the world, but if they're like, no, I'm not coming today, you will wait. You will wait.
I always say, it's so funny, when we are in the labor ward and I tease the moms, I'm like, we don't know if we'll end up having a window or what. Should this person decide I'm not coming out that way, I want a window, we might just end up with a window. But then we try and look at ways in order to make it easy and better for mom. Like Manana was saying, she had it all with no pain medication whatsoever.
Yes.
We are different as ladies.
Of course.
Our pain threshold is also very different.
Definitely.
So it differs from individual to individual as to what they can endure and what they can't.
Yes.
So you take it from, and the more the mom is empowered in terms of what they need to look out for, what they must do. There's techniques in terms of breathing, using warm water to help soothe, walking around, doing, there's a lot that one can do in order for them to relieve the pain. So, Manana, you're like my hero.
Manana, but let's talk about your third pregnancy.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
I had an emergency Caesar. I was in labor. My water broke 4 days before. And
did you go into the hospital immediately after it broke?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I just, because I had experience, I knew how to deal with
what
was
to
happening.
expect.
And I knew when I should go to the hospital because the contractions were still very mild. But I've got a very high pain threshold. So maybe for someone else, they would have been screaming. But I was...
That's why I was surprised that you were at the hospital at 5 centimeters. Me, I got there at 4 and I was like, I am dying.
And I never screamed. I don't know how to express pain. So they were not even taking me seriously. That's why they never gave me pain medication because I was like, I am in pain. And they're like,
So you went to the hospital with your third baby and you wanted to do a vaginal delivery.
I wanted to do
What was the complication?
The baby was getting tired and I was also exhausted. But you've got that thing that I want all of them to go through the same process because I understand the mental benefits, what happens to the child's brain during the pushing process. But I didn't have that. My child was tired. I was tired. I had emergency Caesar at 8:30 in the evening. And my son was born blue, but his color came back after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
So the midwives did the most.
Yeah, everyone was there. It was a proper private hospital. Everything was there. So they knew what to do, when to do it. Yeah.
But let's talk about the mental and emotional preparedness of pregnancy and childbirth. How it is important to be able to plan, but also you need to plan for the unexpected. Because then you're planning to come in to give birth vaginally and then the doctors are like, sorry, but we can't do it. Because I'm sure it just shifts your mindset a lot. You end up feeling cut, disappointed. So how important is to be mentally and emotionally prepared? And does going to antenatal classes play an active role in the preparation?
I find that going to antenatal classes helps you a lot. And when you have a midwife or your gynae that is taking you through the whole process in terms of what to expect, what not to expect, it makes your journey quite easy.
Yes.
Quite recently, we had a patient that actually had decreased liquor, which is the water for the baby.
Okay.
And we started seeing that around 29, 30 weeks.
Okay.
And she actually gave birth very early, at 34, 35 weeks. That's when she gave birth. And because we had prepared her to say, listen, this is what's happening now. we're going to continuously monitor your baby. She came to the practice almost every week, every second week we'd monitor the baby to make sure that everything is
Yes.
okay. Monitor mom's emotional stability as well to say, are you okay? Are you coping? Are you fine with the fact that we might end up with a seizure? She came for antenatal classes as well. Set her down, we spoke about everything, what her expectations were and all of that.
Yeah.
And when it happened that she came in for her normal non-stress test, which is a test that we do for all pregnant ladies at some point in pregnancy, and we did that, and we were like, madam, your baby's not coping. The heart rate is quite high for the baby to be still kept inside. And because we know that we're having issues in terms of the water being so little for the baby, we need to do something. And you know, she was so ready for it that she was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm cool with everything. I'll just definitely, from here, I'm going straight to the hospital. That's how prepared she was. So sometimes you find a lady that will walk in and we do the tests and she's like, baby is not coping. And that one catches you off guard because this is something that you were not prepared for. Whereas if you were going through antenatal classes, you were having these talks with your doctor to say, or your midwife to say, what do I do in unexpected circumstances? Then you are much more easily prepared for it.
Because I think that's the thing, because I found that every time I went to go see my midwife, I literally had a list of questions. Like, okay, let's talk. I've got questions because you also just need to feel like you are in some form of control and you know what to expect. Because we have a lot of questions, especially if you're doing it for the first time. You have no idea what's happening.
Same thing with my first baby. I wanted vaginal birth with everything in me. Like I was one of those people where I was like, no, we are definitely doing it vaginally. And unfortunately it didn't happen. My labor started on a Wednesday when I went for my normal checkup, and the doctor, while palpating me, checking me, she's like, but you're having contractions. I'm like, but these are normal. Like I've been having
like Braxton Hicks.
Yeah, I've been having these Braxton Hicks. She's like,
no, you're in labor. So Luena pain threshold there how?
It's very high, very, very high.
I envy you guys.
And she was like, no, I think you need to go into the hospital. Let's check the baby and see if everything is okay. My baby was fine. I was like, doc, can I come back tomorrow? Friday morning, my waters broke. Yeah. And that's when I was like, whoa, something is definitely happening. Yes. Go in and have this baby, otherwise I'll have problems. Yeah. And I went in, and we only had the baby the next day at 2 o'clock during the day. And the reason I was like, because I was sleeping, and at some point I felt, no, but something is not right. Yeah. Why is this heart rate beating like this? Because I was already at midwife at the time. And I'm like, oh no, my baby's getting tired. So I rang the bell and the midwife walked in and she was like, oh no, we need to prepare you now for a Caesar. And immediately prepared, dog was called, and we went in. My mom was so emotional.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Like, these things happen because she wanted me to give birth as natural as possible because she had all of us naturally. Yes. And I always say to a lot of ladies, just because your parents did it vaginally does not necessarily mean that we'll go through the same thing.
Yes. It's really important to just always plan for the unexpected, ladies. You know what, there's a common belief that as a woman, your body is just built to give birth naturally, but sometimes your mind isn't. So it's always important to get yourself mentally prepared to give birth the way your body wants to give birth and allow the child to come into this world the way they intend to come into this world. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us in this very important conversation. Would love to hear your experiences, so please comment down below and don't forget to follow us on AskAParent_ZA to get more episodes like this. See you next time.